the room to snap awake. Chief Petty Officer Daniel Hayes froze mid-stride, his hand still resting on the kennel door. Coda, his loyal K9 partner, a sable German shepherd with unmatched discipline, had never reacted like this inside the base. Not in the 7 years Daniel had known him. Not once. Daniel frowned as Coda's ears shot up like twin antennas picking up a frequency no one else could hear. His muscles quivered, not in fear but in alertness, the kind the military trained into their bones. The dog's eyes weren't on Daniel. They were locked straight ahead, at the duffel bag sitting beside a young soldier's bunk. Private Liam Cole, barely 20, looked up from lacing his boots. He blinked twice, confused as the dog's warning growl grew louder, vibrating through the room like a tremor. "Sir, is something wrong with the dog?" Daniel didn't answer. K9's didn't make mistakes, not dogs like Coda. Not after years of combat deployments. Not after hundreds of dangerous missions where one wrong decision could cost lives. If Coda was growling, something inside that bag demanded attention. But what? This was the safest base in the region. Every bag that entered had already passed inspection. Every soldier was cleared. And Liam, he was known for his quiet politeness, soft smiles, and the way he always volunteered for the least desirable duties without complaint. Daniel stepped forward slowly, speaking in a calm yet firm voice. "Private Cole, step away from the bag." The room went still. A couple of soldiers in nearby bunks paused mid-conversation. Air seemed to thicken, as if holding its breath. Liam stood up slowly, palms lifted in confusion. "Yes, sir. I don't understand. What's going on?" Coda barked sharply, almost lunging. Daniel tightened his grip on the leash. "Easy, boy." Coda wasn't reacting out of aggression. Daniel could see it now. This was distress. Concern. A deeper instinct than detection. Something primal. Daniel crouched beside the bag. "Private, has anyone else handled your gear?" "No, sir. I packed it myself this morning." Liam's voice cracked slightly. "Is there something wrong?" Daniel carefully unzipped the bag. As the fabric opened, Coda whined, an entirely different sound from the earlier growl. A heartbreaking, urgent cry. Daniel's heart tightened. Inside the bag lay nothing dangerous. No weapons, no contraband, just items that made zero sense for a soldier to hide. A small stack of medical paperwork, a worn blanket, a child's drawing of a house with a smiling stick figure family. And buried beneath all of that, a bottle of prescribed medication with Liam's name on it. Daniel picked up the papers. His jaw slackened as he scanned them. Hospital records, financial debt notices, treatment schedules, and on top of that, photos of an older woman in a hospital bed, tubes running from her arms, smile weak but filled with love. Liam swallowed hard. "Sir, please, I can explain." Daniel didn't respond right away. He kept reading, and suddenly, everything made sense. The child's drawing was from the hospital ward. The blanket belonged to the same woman in the photos. The dead notices were recently printed. And the medication wasn't for Liam. It was for her. Private Liam Cole wasn't hiding something dangerous. He was hiding his life falling apart. Coda sensed the emotional storm inside the young soldier before any human eye could. The dog wasn't reacting to a threat. He was reacting to pain. Coda wasn't wrong, Daniel murmured under his breath. He never is. He stood up, facing the young soldier whose eyes were now glassy with embarrassment. "Private, you want to tell me what's going on?" Liam lowered his head. His lips trembled. "Sir, I didn't want anyone to know." Daniel softened. "Know what? That my mom, she's dying." Liam wiped his cheek quickly as if ashamed of the tear. "She has late-stage cancer. And I've been sending every paycheck home. I sold everything I owned. But last night the hospital called. She needs another round of treatment. A treatment I can't afford. Not even close." His voice cracked completely. "So I packed her stuff, because I don't know what else to do. I haven't slept in 2 days. I didn't want to tell the team. I didn't want to look weak." The room fell silent, not judgmental, just heavy with understanding. Daniel's chest tightened. He'd seen many things during his service. Death, betrayal, courage, loss, but the selflessness of a son fighting for his mother was something different. Something pure. "Private," Daniel said quietly, "why didn't you come to your CO?" Or to me, Liam inhaled shakily, because it's not the Navy's responsibility to pay for my personal problems. And I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want pity. Daniel felt something shift inside him. A deep, quiet hurt. Because he remembered another soldier, a younger version of himself, who once felt the same crushing need to carry everything alone. He took one step closer. Listen to me, Liam. Asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Liam looked away, shoulders trembling. I just didn't want anyone to see me like this. At that moment, Kota slowly approached Liam. The fierce, intense K9 who had faced gunfire and explosions gently rested his head against the soldier's leg. Liam froze. Then he broke. He sank to his knees, hands buried in Kota's fur, sobbing silently as the dog stood beside him like a guardian. No one laughed. No one judged. Because pain, real pain, was universal. Later that afternoon, after giving Liam the space he needed, Daniel walked straight into the Ko's office. He explained everything. The mother, the medical bills, the emotional stress. He expected a challenge, but instead, the CO nodded with a heavy sigh. We take care of our own, Chief. Let's see what we can do. Within 24 hours, everything changed. First, the Navy approved emergency compassionate leave. Liam could fly home immediately to be with his mother. Then the CO made a call to the base's family support program. A fundraiser was arranged quietly, respectfully. No spotlight, no humiliation, just quiet compassion for a soldier in need. But the miracle came later, unexpected, overwhelming, and something Liam would never forget. When Daniel walked into the barracks to say goodbye before Liam's flight, the young soldier stood frozen in shock. His eyes were wide, his hands trembling. Sir, what is this? Daniel smiled gently. Open it. On the table sat an envelope thick enough to look life-changing. Inside were donations, from the entire base. Every soldier, every officer, every medic, even civilians working around the base. Some gave $10, some gave hundreds, but all gave something, enough to cover every part of his mother's treatment. Liam stared at the envelope, unable to process it. Why would all of you do this for me? Daniel rested a hand on his shoulder. Because no one fights alone, not on the battlefield, and not in life. Your mother raised a good man. And good men deserve to be fought for too. Tears streamed down Liam's face, but this time he didn't hide them. He didn't apologize for them. He simply stood there, overwhelmed by a level of kindness he never expected. Kota patted over, pressing his head into Liam's hand again, as if to say, I knew you needed us. For the first time in weeks, Liam smiled. A real smile. Sir, he whispered, please thank everyone. For me, I don't have words. You don't need words, Daniel said softly. Just go home. Be with her. That's what matters. 3 weeks later, the base received a letter. Handwritten, folded neatly, tear-stained. Liam wrote about how he was able to sit beside his mother through the hardest nights. How the treatments were working. How doctors said she might actually have more time, good time, because strangers stepped in when he thought the world had abandoned him. He wrote about the night he told her what the base had done. How she cried, calling every member of the Navy her extended family. How she whispered, people are better than we think. Sometimes you just need the courage to let them in. Near the end of the letter, Liam wrote something that struck Daniel so deeply he read it 3 times. I realized something I never understood before. Strength isn't measured by how much weight we can carry alone. Real strength is found in the hands that reach out to lift us. Thank you, for showing me that. Daniel folded the letter carefully, pride swelling in his chest. Kota, sensing his emotion, wagged his tail and nudged his knee. Yeah, boy, Daniel chuckled softly. You were the real hero here. And in a way, he was. Because sometimes it isn't the explosions in war zones that reveal the greatest battles. Sometimes it's the silent ones, buried inside a duffel bag, carried by a young soldier trying desperately to stay strong. Sometimes it's a dog's instinct, a team's compassion, and a base's unity that turn despair into hope. Sometimes the smallest growl can save a life. Months later, when Liam returned to the base, he walked through the gates with a confidence he never had before. His mother was stable, hopeful, healing. And he owed it to people who showed him he mattered. The first thing he did was kneel beside Koda, pulling the dog into a tight embrace. Koda licked his cheek once, then barked as if welcoming him home. Daniel crossed his arms, smiling. "Good to have you back, Private." "It's good to be back," Liam replied, his voice stronger, steadier. "I won't forget what you did for me. Ever." "You don't have to," Daniel said. "Just pass it forward someday. That's how this world gets better." Liam nodded, a promise forming in his heart. Because compassion didn't end with him. It continued through him, and that was the real transformation this journey gave him. Not just help, not just hope, but a reminder of the power inside a single act of humanity. Life on the base returned to normal. Morning drills, strategy briefings, Koda strutting proudly beside Daniel during patrols. But something had changed in the atmosphere. There was more softness behind the toughness. More awareness behind the discipline. More willingness to look beyond the uniform and see the person wearing it. Soldiers weren't just fighting side by side. They were living side by side, understanding one another in ways they hadn't before. All because one dog refused to stay silent. One K9 sensed what humans couldn't. One Growl opened a door to compassion that transformed an entire community. And that transformation didn't fade. It spread, quietly, powerfully, beautifully. Because kindness, once ignited, has a way of lighting every corner it touches. It ripples, it heals, it reminds even the strongest warriors that hearts, not weapons, are what make humanity worth protecting. And in those everyday moments, shared meals, evening jokes, training sessions filled with camaraderie, Daniel watched Liam thrive again, becoming not just a better soldier, but a better human. Years later, when younger recruits told stories about the legendary K9 named Koda, the tale they repeated the most wasn't about bomb detection or combat missions. It was about the day a dog sensed a soldier's hidden pain. The day compassion saved a family. The day the base remembered what it truly meant to serve. And every time Daniel listened to those stories retold, he felt pride warm his chest. Not pride in himself, but pride in the humanity that lived within the walls of the base. The humanity that even war couldn't destroy. The humanity that reminded them all that strength wasn't stoic silence. Strength was connection, kindness, courage to care, and that was the legacy Koda left behind, a legacy deeply etched in every life he touched. Because sometimes, the bravest heroes walk on four paws. And sometimes, the most powerful discoveries are found not in weapons or battlegrounds, but in a soldier's bag holding the fragile pieces of a life he was too humble to share. Pieces the world chose to protect. Pieces that changed everything.